Welcome in to the latest episode of Betting the Pitch, the European Soccer Edition. I'm your host, Real_G Warner. Tonight, Late Night with the Real_G Warner is back, and we'll be going through the Europa League, and the Europa Conference League is making an appearance because there's actually three teams out of four that I've heard of before and can tell you where they're all located, as I just looked up where Djurgården is. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Hope so. We're going to go through the two advanced numbers, also the first leg spreads and totals. Come out with an ultimate best bet. We are 43 and 18, 71% after sweeping Champions League. Really good run. What a performance by Inter Milan, honestly. Feel like they deserved with a 2-0 lead and a 3-2 lead. Wish they would have done a little bit more for our two advanced number, but nearly 2-1 odds. Feel great about that. We'll have certainly a much better price heading into leg two, though clearly there's plenty of work left to be done, and Barcelona are terrifying, especially that young man, young little boy named Lamine Yamal. Yikes. There's going to be a lot of kids named Lamine going over the rest of, I guess, over Catalonia, out of the whole world, probably. But that's not why you're here. Hopefully, everyone has seen that we are live by now, so it's time to get into it. I will be thanking a new YouTube subscriber, and please feel free to check out patreon.com/a_G Warner. Let me know if you have some interest in potentially getting my everyday picks, as baseball was very hot today, April 30th, and going to try to keep that going as May begins. And it's already May here in Dallas, Texas. So we'll start in the Europa League because that's where the money is, at least at this level. We'll start with Athletic Club Bilbao hosting Manchester United, currently Athletic Club quarter goal favorites with all the juice, totals 2.25 juice all the way to under. So where has this number moved? Initially, when I first saw it, we had Manchester United a half of a goal underdog on the road. So we've seen some Manchester United money come and hit. What a surprise. Not a surprise whatsoever, as anyone who listens to this podcast and any European continental edition knows that the UK market seems to dictate where money goes. I don't think it's always right, and I find that there's a really good. I don't like England, I'll put it that way, but I also like the idea that we're getting value to fade a team or country league that I think is overvalued. So, like that situation for Athletic Club Bilbao, I wish they're at home for the second leg. And one fun fact is that the championship or the final for the Europa League will be at none other than San Mamés, El Catedral, pronounce that a little bit better, in Bilbao. So this is basically a two-legged tie to get to your home stadium to win a trophy. And it could be against a very, very small club from a very small nation. But they got to get through Manchester United, who have been I mean, we're very disrespected this past weekend in terms of the closing number, or actually I guess the opening number. Money came in on Manchester United because they ended up playing a lot of their best players, but we'll see what that all looks like. How they're really, I'm not making plays in soccer unless there's a number I'm really afraid of losing until I see lineups. So I'm waiting for lineups pretty much across the board, which is very difficult for 5:30 a.m. Central Time Serie A Sunday matches. But other than that, for the most part, I'm usually playing unders in those. They're usually the weaker teams in Italy, and usually there aren't huge differences on who's out unless it's the goalkeeper or a really important central defender. But back to Athletic Club and Manchester United. So Athletic Club, they are formerly a conservative counter-attacking squad. They've gotten so much more talented with the emergence of Nico Williams. And he's a big threat. Manchester United are not a threat. They're going to play really defensively, I suspect. The total at 2.25 is very small, but it's small for a reason. I think first legs in this competition play a lot closer to the vest. Certainly, nothing more needed to be seen than PSG and Arsenal, two really high-scoring games, finishing with a 1-0 road win for PSG in Champions League. Sorry to spoil that if you are not caught up yet, but considering I'm still catching up on league stuff. I am live on Champions League, as everyone knows, but it's been a struggle getting through the baseball season coming out, watching every NHL hockey game so far, which I feel like I've deserved a lot better with my bets there. Check out patreon.com/real_G Warner if you want to follow along the rest of that playoffs. With that said, so you're here for interest in leans. I lean to Manchester United as a road underdog, though a quarter of a goal, even getting odds right now, does not seem like enough. If it moves back to half a goal, I'll be more interested because then a road draw will win a full unit. I'm not one to be too proud or too. I'm not turning my nose up to a half a unit victory. I'll put it that way. But I think going to Athletic Club is a big, big deal. I don't know that Athletic Club are necessarily as dominant at home as their crowd support should allow them to be. I think they will be in the final. That's going to be a really tough situation if Athletic Club are there. Whoever from the other matchup makes it. But at the same time, I feel like we see a low scoring game here. Manchester United, I'm sure, will be so excited to get out of Bilbao, out of the Basque Country with a equal score. I don't know if that's a 0-0, but I think there's a good chance at a 1-1, which would pay you half your bet in terms of winnings. So, like I said, I'm not too proud for that. I'm interested there. But we'll move on to two advanced number, and that is Athletic Club minus 115 to Manchester United minus 105. Only a 20-cent line. That's a pretty good situation for any sort of two advanced number across the marketplace. This is a line at BetOnline. If you don't have an account there, please hit me up at the real _G Warner on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, and on YouTube. Could also get you to their sister site, Sportsbetting.ag, if you haven't been there yet either. You've been at BetOnline or you've been at Sportsbetting.ag and not BetOnline, you can use the other one. It's the same line, same everything, openers included, and you get a welcome bonus. And I can help you out with that. Hit me up at the real _G Warner on YouTube, Patreon, Twitter, Instagram. But for two advanced number here, so I usually look for underdogs that have the second leg at home. Certainly not a foolproof method, but I really do like the situation for Inter Milan at this point. PSG were the favorites, so that was not an option in the first of the Champions League semifinals. With that said, Manchester United minus 105 could move to that situation, and then I'll certainly be more interested. I think Athletic Club are a better side, and they're undervalued because they don't play in England. They play in a Spanish speaking league called La Liga. And I think that makes them a little bit undervalued and makes me a little bit hesitant to be against them. But I think biggest interest for me is under 2.25 in that first matchup we've discussed. We'll move next to Tottenham Hotspur hosting Bodo Glimt. Currently, Tottenham a 1.5 goal favorite with all the juice to the Norwegians, who came off a penalty shootout victory on the road at the Stadio Olimpico in Roma, or in Rome against Lazio. Pretty amazing. Had a 2-0 lead and conceded a late aggregate equalizer to lose 2-0 in the first leg, or excuse me, in the second leg after winning the first leg 2-0. And looked like they were dead. Even in penalty kicks, looked like they were dead early, but came back from the dead and are now in a really good position because Tottenham, I think, are the weakest club in the semifinals of the Europa League in the year of our Lord 2025. With that said, Bodo Glimt, they are a much smaller club. They don't have the resources, of course, no Norwegian club does. It's amazing they got here considering they were playing matches in Europa League after not playing against anyone because their league doesn't come back from a winter break until like the summer solstice, pretty much. So that's been amazing. They had a huge comeback few weeks ago or rounds ago against a team I can't even remember. But it's pretty amazing that they're here. I love the story. Now, the big question, though, is can they hang with Tottenham Hotspur, especially at the London Stadium, that some of you may know from their NFL exposure. That's a big ask. The second leg will be on artificial turf, which I think is hilarious, and I'm sure Tottenham's going to be really, really complaining about that. But until we get there, I guess we'll wait and see when that comes around. With that said, I'm still very interested in. By the way, any of you here live, feel free to say something in the comments, and I will show it here as it should be right there right now. Thank you for joining. By the way, I know it's super late, but thank you for coming in. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. You get there by searching Betting the Pitch. If you can leave a 5-star review, it's huge for the search rankings, and I would really appreciate it. So, I think Bodo Glimt are my big interest here. I like the goal and a half. Looks like it might be climbing to 1 3/4. Certainly waiting to see if that happens. I don't know that it necessarily will. I'm not sure that 1.5 to 1 3/4 really matters too much. Two does, I think. And for the total, 3.25 juice all the way to under. I'm interested in a low scoring match here because I think the Tottenham Hotspur. I mean, they didn't play their star center backs this weekend in Romero and Van de Ven, at least not from the start. So that's a big indicator that their defense is actually somewhat competent, though their style is too risky and they can't sustain injuries or they can't handle them. But they look pretty healthy. done a lot to keep themselves healthy for this tournament and just basically said, who cares about the English Premier League, which still might get Ange Postecoglou the sack, especially if he doesn't win this competition. But I think there's still interest in fading Tottenham because I just don't really trust them. I think they're in this competition going to play to try to win this match, but will probably be more conservative with a lead when this spread requires them winning by 2 goals. So give me Bodo Glimt, goal and a half underdog. And along those lines, seeing a lower scoring Tottenham match certainly points to under 3.25. Anything above three, I really like, especially first leg Europa League with a very, very small minnow against a shark going in there just to hang on for dear life as long as they can. Two advanced numbers. So Tottenham currently 4-1 on, or 1-4 minus 400 in American odds. $400 to win 100. Bodo Glimt 3-1 odds. And very interesting, especially the second leg at home on artificial turf in the Arctic Circle, which Tottenham will be ready for, but probably not that ready for. That'll be certainly a. I don't know that the weather in England is ever something that people are excited about, but it's probably better than it will be, at least in warmth temperature wise, compared to a Norwegian Thursday just next week. So I think for the ultimate best bet, I'm going to be pushing together the Europa League against the Europa Conference League. But for my favorite bet on this episode, I'm going to go with that Manchester United under 2.25 goals on the road at Athletic Club Bilbao. So let's get on. I guess I don't want to leave Bodo Glimt 3-1 out there. So I'm interested. I gotta say, I'm interested, more interested than I thought I'd be when I just prepared for talking about this episode. But we'll see when we get there. It'll see what happens ultimately. Now we'll move to the Europa Conference League, which I haven't talked a lot about on the show this year, but honestly, that's been because there's so many small clubs that I've never even heard of and have to guess what even country they're from. Djurgården, I know they're from Stockholm, Sweden, another Arctic Circle or Scandinavian representative. Great for the difficulties of another English club. Chelsea are on the road at Djurgården, still 1 3/4 goal favorites. Wow. Almost all the juice on Djurgården. Total here is, as I load that up, the total here is 3. More juice to over than to under. So, Chelsea are a team I've loved to bet against, I don't know, this entire Premier League season, really, ever since Cole Palmer went down or got injured or started to be worse a few months ago. Djurgården, I don't have a ton of insight into, though, however. So, the big underdog, I'm kind of hoping that there is going to be some of what of a move on Chelsea, buying up some of this cheap juice here, minus 103 at BetOnline, and maybe this one climbs to 2 goals. I think of all things, the Djurgården side, I mean, knowing the difference in the squad value between a Swedish club that's in the Conference League versus an English Premier League side with billions and billions of dollars being spent on the talent that hasn't really delivered, it makes me want to bet against that talent that hasn't delivered. And I think the best way to do that is under 3 in this matchup. So I think that'll be my biggest interest. More interested in the under 3 than the 1 3/4. Certainly, if Djurgården score, that would make their spread bet a lot better than the total under. But I just don't know that I see that even against a pretty weak, all over the place Chelsea defense. In terms of the two advanced number, I don't want to leave that behind. It's monstrous, but Djurgården 10-1 odds, plus 1,000 to move through. But their first leg is at home. That's going to be tough to go on the second leg and hold on to a lead at Chelsea. That might be one of those scenarios where if Djurgården do somehow pull off the upset in the first leg, you might want to back Chelsea in the second. To another semifinal in the Europa Conference League, going to a city that no one could pronounce on any of the shows I've watched. Real Betis from La Liga in Spain. They're hosting Fiorentina from Serie A. Currently, Real Betis a 3/4 goal favorite at home with all the juice. Total is 2.5, and it juiced very heavily to under. So, been to the stadium, been to a Europa League match, not a Conference League because I don't think it existed then. Man, that's so many years ago. I'm so old now. But Real Betis, they're going to have a good crowd support. They've been playing pretty well in La Liga, but they are still taking this competition very seriously. They've done that under Manuel Pellegrini for years and years and years. Their grandpa, Abuelo, as they call him, their manager. But Fiorentina, they have a lot of talent, and they are one of the best in Serie A that are not of the title contenders. So, though I think sometimes they think they are, but most of the time their best players get bought by Juventus, so that's really tough for them. Real Betis on the other side, they have a huge following and have been really good years past, but this is a pretty big price here. Three-quarters goal favorite. So if they win by a single goal, which I think Real Betis will be very excited with, you still only lose half your bet on Fiorentina. So I'm pretty interested in the road team coming in here. Forza Viola, the purple team from Florence, they are certainly have some inabilities or some weaknesses, as you will with any club that's kind of upper mid table in Serie A in Italy. But I don't really see the difference between these two teams. I mean, Moise Kean has been so hot this season. We'll see if he's in the lineup on Thursday. But honestly, too big of a price for me. Real Betis have been scoring a lot of goals, but honestly, the aged type of front that they have, I guess, got a lot younger with Anthony coming in on loan from Manchester United. But Isco as a center attacking midfielder is being your uh, talisman goal scorer with no real striker all season. I'm not really a believer in that, especially as Borja Iglesias is playing on loan at Celta de Vigo. Could have called him back, but I guess they weren't able to negotiate that or something like that. Fiorentina, I feel like the under's a little bit risky because these are two offenses that can score, but they both want the ball and they're both going to try to keep it from the other. I think those type of scenarios where there's not one team pinned its own end is great for under. So I'm pretty interested in Fiorentina getting three-quarters of a goal, and I lean to under 2.5 as well in that matchup. For the ultimate best bet, though, I'll go with Real Betis. Fading Real Betis, I'll go Fiorentina, three-quarter goal underdogs on the road at Real Betis. And that brings us now to the ultimate best bet portion of the show. I did promise I would shout out my recent YouTube subscriber, so let me sure I get there and do that. Thank you so much for Rodney Gavaseb. I believe if I'm pronouncing that right. Please correct me if I'm wrong at the real underscore G Warner wherever you can. Easy Bets 27. Thanks for the record compliment. It's been a good year trying to keep the best bets going as the ultimate best bets that is as profitable as possible until we head into the summer and the Club World Cup where maybe I'll get to sleep or something like that. But I think other than that, should we have an F1 episode back as we are now in Miami and back on the correct time zone. No, just kidding. But one of these a lot more easily, I think, watched all those sort of things as opposed to all of the Mid East and also Asia to start the season. So that'll be nice. And look forward to an episode with Roscoe Poop Scooper. All right, Roscoe Poop Scoop. Really inside joke there, I guess. But if you haven't been tuning into the F1 episodes, you should check in on that. I think are doing an episode tomorrow morning. We'll have a Major League Baseball episode tomorrow night, I think, but it might be a little bit delayed. But we'll see. And still trying to get at A Brooks Bets back on the channel. We'll see if we can do that coming down the line. Let's see. I have my handy dandy recording device, and it might be time to get into the ultimate best bet because it's late and we might as well do it right now. Hey, this is the real underscore G Warner on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, and on YouTube. This is the ultimate best bet. We are 43 and 18, 71% year to date. It's been a great run with our ultimate best bets as my laundry goes off. What we try to do is push together, and tonight's episode went through Europa League and Europa Conference League, making a debut on the season's episodes. But my favorite bet from each of the leagues, pick one, you grade me on it, and that's where the 43 and 18 comes from, 71% year to date. From Europa League, I like Manchester United under 2.25 goals on the road at Athletic Club Bilbao. In the Europa Conference League, I like Fiorentina, a three-quarter goal underdog. But for the ultimate best bet on this episode, check out patreon.com/real underscore G Warner across all plays, across all sports. Major League Baseball, a huge Thursday, plus the Stanley Cup playoffs, which are going to turn around. Let's go with Manchester United under 2.25 goals on the road at Athletic Club. I think they go try to stall a pretty talented, potent Athletic Club offense, and I think Athletic Club's defense keeps Manchester United quiet as well. Under 2.25, Manchester United at Athletic Club. And that'll do it for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. I will see you on the next episode in probably just a few hours, but hit me up at the real underscore G Warner on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, and on YouTube, anywhere you'd like to, if you'd like to chat.